Hey everyone, it's Boardgame Brody here again with Meeple Mountain. I have a new copy of Merchants of Magick, a set of watch tale by Rock Manor Games. Merchants of Magick is a more complex roll and write game set in the world of Rock Manor's game, Set a Watch. I'm here to tell you 4 things that you need to know about this game. Number 1, the theme. The world known in Set a Watch is described as being full of hordes of evil creatures from the Unhallowed trying to take over all the land. In Set a Watch, you play as 4 adventurers fighting off the Unhallowed. In Merchants of Magick, you play as an owner of a magic item shop where you craft items and research spells to sell to those adventurers of the Watch. It's your way of contributing to this battle of the Unhallowed. During the game, dice are rolled representing potential resources, and players will choose which resource they want to gather to create items and spells to have in their shop. Not only do players want to help fight the Unhallowed, but they want to become rich with gold coins by the end of the game. Number 2, the setup. Every player will take a player sheet and something to write with. Each player will receive 1 sponsored adventurer card randomly from its deck. This card lists objectives players can plan to complete throughout the entire game to gain bonus actions and more coin. The orders deck is also shuffled and a certain number of cards are dealt out and placed in a line above each player's sheet. In a 1 to 2 player game, use 4 cards per player. In a 3 to 6 player game, use 3 cards, and in a 7 or 8 player game, use 2. If any player receives 3 or more orders with double enchantments, this would be those cards with 2 corners highlighted with icons. All cards are then returned, reshuffled, and redistributed out. During the game, these cards will be moving around and are the cards that players will try to gain by having resources listed on those cards in their shop. Both the material and the energy mastery cards are then shuffled, and one of each is placed out for all to see on its mastery side up. The side with the higher coin value, except in a solo game. These are objectives for all players to strive toward. Whoever fulfills the objective first will get the higher coin value as a reward, but other players can also fulfill the same mastery card, just will receive a lower coin reward. Lastly, all 4 dice and all potion tokens are placed out for all to reach in the middle of the table. Number 3, the gameplay. The game is played over 10 rounds, with each round being divided into 4 phases. Phase 1, the resource phase. The 4 dice are rolled and each player writes the results in the leftmost empty column on the top left of their sheet. Phase 2, the crafting and research phase. Players will independently and simultaneously choose 2 results rolled this round to spend on crafting part of a new item in their shop using leather, wood, or steel shown on the left side of their player sheet, or use the results in researching a new spell using elemental, arcane, or wild magical energy shown on the right side of the player sheet. Players will check the top of their sheets to see which type of die can be spent on each item lower on the sheet, and shows what value would satisfy the requirement to fill in that circle. These values will either need to match the value shown in the circle and be either higher or lower than that stated number shown by the arrow in that circle. When using that result, the player will then cross off the result of the die on top, as well as marking the corresponding circled numbers for the item that player is crafting or researching. Again, when spending the result to craft, the result spent must match the types shown on the top of the material column, but also the result needs to be greater than or equal to the number inside the circle. And when researching, the same, except the value needs to be equal to or less than the number stated. So it might be better to roll high values on the D6 and the D8, and roll low values on the D10 and the D12. Now, whenever all circles in a row are marked, the item is now considered complete, and players circle the coin associated with it to its side, earning that at the end of the game. These can now be used to complete orders that require that item, or to be used for a player-sponsored adventurer. Each time a row gets completed, announce it to the table and circle the coins in that row, and then gain a potion token. Know that when researching, there are 2 types of spells. Enchantments, which turn ordinary items into magical ones, and these will add a prefix like shocking or everlasting, or a suffix like of the elves or of the dragons, or some items might require both a prefix and a suffix. Charms help your shop get the best deals on potions and help build your reputation by having the best wares earning you more coins at the end of the game. Similar to crafting, when done researching and all circles are marked in a row, any order requiring that enchantment can then be fulfilled. Orders will be moving around from player to player until they get fulfilled. Most orders represent customers looking for magical items with a single enchantment. Some orders require a more valuable item having both a prefix and a suffix enchantment. If a player can complete both the item and the enchantments required by a face-up order that is currently in that player's shop, they can immediately claim that order by moving it to the side of their player sheet and replace the card with a new order from the deck face down that will be flipped over later. A player can claim as many orders each turn as they can. Again, whenever a player completes a row, that player also gains one potion. And these potions can be spent at any time to purchase extra dice or to modify a die result. Each potion can change the result of a die. When used to modify a die result, that potion can either change the value up 1 or down 1. Players can only use 6 extra dice during the game, with the first 3 not costing any potions, and the last 3 costing the stated number of potions in those circles. Each player also has a sponsored adventurer looking for a specific accessory, a specific weapon, and a specific armor of the same type of enchantment shown on that card. As a player completes each of these orders, they will gain rewards. The first one completed will gain you 3 potions. The second one lets you mark off a circle of your choice on your sheet. And the third one lets you mark off a circle for free again and gain the coin reward shown on that adventurer card. Phase 3, the Mastery Phase. Players check to see if they complete the requirements listed on the mastery cards. If so, they will immediately gain the coins indicated on that card by writing it on their sheet. If a player scores the mastery card, it will get flipped over to the apprentice side. Multiple players can score the same mastery card during the same time, but after the card is flipped, it will reward other players with less coins. Phase 4, the Customer Phase. Players will move all orders 1 space clockwise around the table, also flipping over any face-down cards. The leftmost card moves to the player to the left, and you will receive a new order card from the player on the right, sliding all your cards to the left to make room for the new card coming in from the right. Players continue by repeating these 4 phases 10 times total. After the 10th round, the game ends and each player will calculate their final score by adding up their coins. Players will add up the coins from the items that they crafted, from the spells that they researched, from any mastery cards that they fulfilled, from all the completed order cards that they collected, from any charm bonuses that they achieved, and lastly, from the sponsored adventure if they fulfilled it. The player who gained the most coins at this point wins the game. Number 4. My thoughts on the game. Well, first of all, this game is totally a surprise to me in a very good way. The game is long enough that you're able to pick up a good amount of order cards and have time to complete your adventurer's needs, to try to complete as many of those mastery cards as you can, but still feel the heat or the need that you would have liked to have a couple more rounds in the game still. The potions are really nice to grab as they help you with those extra rolls or to manipulate the dice up or down according to what you need to fulfill a certain item. And it's great when you have potions at the perfect time that you need or want something really bad. The game is a pretty crunchy game, and the first time that I played it solo, it really surprised me how much time I took trying to make some decisions. Of course, when you get more familiar with the game, that helps, but the game is a pretty awesome puzzle and uses dice to randomize things, yet provides you with the potions to further manipulate the values on those dice. The game has a little different strategy depending on player count, as there are only so many orders in play for all players at a time. The game includes some layered strategy, from planning ahead to fulfill cards when they first enter your area, to fulfilling cards so that you can get new cards in front of you and see what they are to see if you can complete more of them. Overall, this is a pretty amazing roll and write game that is pretty crunchy. Randomness and strategy are involved, but players will be making simultaneous decisions on the same dice each turn, so balance between players are pretty even. I really like this game, and it's one I'm going to be playing a lot. So sell as much as you can in your magical shop with your family and friends in Merchants of Magick by Rock Manor Games. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.